French, a clinical psychologist, a retired professor of psychology, currently working at the Atlantic Pain Clinic, where we provide physical rehabilitation service to injured workers.
My name is Dr. Joanne Savoie, and I'm a neuropsychologist at the Stan Cassidy Center.
My name is Melanie Babino-Ross, and I'm a licensed psychologist here in the Moncton area, and I've been working for 10 years in the field. Psychologists studies how people think, feel, and behave from a scientific viewpoint, and they'll gather all these information in order to help people understand or explain how they behave.
We use our understanding of thinking, behaving, and emotions to help individuals either understand their behavior or change their behavior.
From there, deciding on potentially a diagnosis and treatment plan to help them maybe cope better, improve their mood, or improve areas of thinking that they're struggling with.
Typical day for myself as a clinical psychology in private practice involves going into the office, just catching up on emails or messages to see if there's any changes for my day schedule. I'll see clients throughout the day, so typically between 3 and 5.
I typically start with assessing some clients. As part of that assessment process, I try and get a sense of how they're getting along with the pain that they're having, make sure that there's not a mental health issue that needs immediate attention.
One of the nice things about being a psychologist is that, no 2 days are the same. I'm involved in a variety of professional activities from clinical care. I'm also involved in training, and then I also do some research and program evaluation projects within the center to test and examine the quality of our services.
A good part of my day is also spent in meetings, consulting, trying to develop treatment algorithms. So it's a full day, but it's a rewarding day. In terms of the training to become a psychologist, in my case, I have an undergraduate degree, so a Bachelor of Arts with an honors in psychology. I then went on and did a Master's of Arts in psychology, and then a PhD.
My training started with a bachelor's degree in psychology. After that, I completed a master's PhD in clinical psychology. And then to specialize as a neuropsychologist, I have a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship in neuropsychology that I completed in the US.
I completed a bachelor in an arts degree with specialization in psychology. That was a 4-year program. And then afterwards, I completed a 2-year master's program in psychology. And after completing my studies, I had a 3-year residency. And following that, you need to complete a written exam and an oral exam, and then you can call yourself a licensed psychologist.
Well, finding work in New Brunswick actually was rather easy. There was a position that happened to be open for quite a few years here at the Stan Cassidy Center, and it was really a perfect fit.
There were all manner of positions available in a number of settings, both in the public sector, so in the government, schools, and also in the private sector, so there were no shortage of opportunities.
There was a few openings in school systems, in hospital settings.
There are obvious skills I think that people would associate with being a psychologist, like being empathic, being a good listener.
I would say empathy is a really important one. You want to be able to care for other people, but you also want to be able to relate and feel for them and want the best for them.
I think the single most important skill is being a good listener and being respectful.
One of the biggest things for psychology is confidentiality. So because people are sharing very intimate, personal information, you want them to be able to trust you.
And all of this really involves a scientific sort of lens of how we help people.
Before I even knew psychology was a thing, I knew I had to do something where I wanted to help people. I love listening and just trying to help people figure out their issues, their problems. So when I found out there was a profession that did just that, it was pretty clear to me that that's what I wanted to do.
Just the information in the psychology classes really seemed to get my interest. Things like understanding principles of behavior modification. To me, a lot of the psychological content really resonated with me.
I had a grandmother who had Alzheimer's disease, was really interested in thinking and cognition. So those sort of things kind of married together and sort of led me down this path.
What gives me the most satisfaction, as corny as it might sound, is actually helping people, in my case, live better lives around ongoing pain.
I work with people who have invisible injuries. They often feel misunderstood. So having the opportunity to help people, patients, or families understand really what's happening and where it comes from, I find that the most satisfying. It's like they feel finally understood.
What gives me the most satisfaction from my job is seeing when a client is able to be successful in reaching their goals. Whether it's a person that was so anxious that they couldn't leave their house, they couldn't work, and then they're able to socialize and leave their house and live a more normal life. It's very touching to see those things kind of happen. I think it's great working as a psychologist in New Brunswick because there's so many different areas that you can work. You can work in schools, you can work in hospitals, you can work in private practice, you can be a professor, do some research.
I have opportunities to teach, I have opportunities to do research, and be involved in patient care. I'm not convinced that I would be able to do that anywhere else other than New Brunswick.
Why would I encourage someone to work in this field? It's an excellent career. Here in New Brunswick, we're blessed with an excellent quality of life. The cost of living is low. We have access to unlimited nature. We have fresh water, we have salt water. If you like to fish, you can fish. If you like to hunt, you can hunt. If you like to hike, that's available, and it's all available right here at our fingertips. You don't have to drive very far to find a beautiful spot.